I've been very pleased to be involved in my whole life in Jesuit secondary education. When I first came to Bellarmine, I was a bit nervous, and I was probably a little too serious about my studies. Thank God there were a couple of young Jesuit scholastics that encouraged me to get involved in other activities. By my junior year, I was very involved in speech and debate and working then as one of the sub-editors of the Cardinal, the newspaper. I never missed a home football game. I'm not an athlete, but I love athletics. And so I found it wasn't just studies, but it was fun to be with other people. And I get this again from my mother and father. My mother and father were really interested in whomever they were talking with at any one time. I was born in the town of Santa Clara in 1937. My parents are very local. They were married in 1934, and I was their only child. My parents owned the pharmacy. My dad was a pharmacist and always had many people working for him. He loved working with the people. But I remember the store might be closed on Sunday. Somebody would call Mr. Wade, some lady somewhere, and needed her. She didn't realize she needed a prescription filled. My dad would walk down to the pharmacy and then take a city line bus out to deliver that package to that lady. In a sense, they were interested really in the people. And so I knew I kind of wanted to do something to emulate my dad in a way. I think of that a lot more these days. My senior year is kind of like when I then decided to at least give the Jesuit possibility a try. Ever since I was ordained a priest, has been doing priestly ministry because I really am involved doing a lot of weddings, baptisms, funerals, visiting hospitals, and being with people at important times in their lives. But I entered the Jesuits to become part of that group that was involved in education. So I returned to Bellarmine as a young teacher at age 24, actually. At age 27, I taught all of the third-year Latin students. I was prefect in the boarding halls, two which of the 3 years in the senior dorm, and wonderful young men, 40 of them with two of us in one old house, which was great. I drove the school bus for the teams, was moderator then of the school newspaper, ran the study hall at night at 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So it was really 3 years of working very much. And then I went on to study theology at Alma College, a master's in philosophy from Gonzaga University, and then eventually a master's in theology through Santa Clara University. And then eventually I went on to do 2 years of a master's program in Latin at the University of Southern California. I returned to Bellarmine as a priest in 1979, this summer. My title was Superior, or in those days they called you Rector of the Jesuit Community, and you were also then President of the school. After my first 5 years, I no longer was the Superior Rector at the time, but I stayed on another 9 years as President. Then I went back as a Superior again. So I've been here since 1979. And then eventually they gave me the name of Chancellor, which means the old guy that knows the school somewhat and can represent the school and still be involved in development. What I learned early on, even as a teacher, young teacher here, is the support of our lay colleagues. Our lay colleagues which means your teachers too and fellow administrators, but also the board members, to pay attention to the experts around you and to really listen to them and move forward with a consensus and with their advice. So I do listen to advice, I think, as much as possible, and really try to bring people together in that way.
I think Father Wade just embodies Bellarmine for so many people. During Father Wade's tenure as Bellarmine's president, he came in 1979 and stayed in that role until 1993. Really, that's when the seeds of the Bellarmine of today were sown. When the school began to grow larger, when we began to grow our endowment of the school, when the diversity of the school began to expand, when we began to hire more women who worked on faculty and more people of color, really the transformation of, if we look at Bellarmine being the outstanding Jesuit school it is today, I think that really dates back to that transformation started to happen, I think, during Father Wade's tenure.
One thing that's been very important to me in my life as a Jesuit priest is building up strong endowment funds for tuition assistance so that we have a diverse school all the time. After my dad died in '93, I started an endowment fund for tuition assistance in the name of the Wade family in honor of my mom and dad. There's going to be a building named after me. A little bit embarrassed by that, but I really hope that the name Wade will remind people also of my mom and dad, who were very much part of Bellarmine over the years. There are a few things that I hope I might be remembered by. Making sure that we have a strong tuition assistance program. And also that we always be a college prep, taking students who will go on to a college. To me, that's part of my legacy, not just at Bellarmine, but my legacy as a Jesuit.